What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. It is me, BST, and we are back on the channel. Took a little bit of a break, and you guys were probably expecting this to be a mock draft video, but we are actually going to probably hold off on another mock draft for maybe a couple more days. Not much has changed since the last time, and I don't want to make too much of a redundant video, so we're going to try something new. We are going to be hopping in here talking about the top 15 free agents according to Fox Sports and where I think they're going to go. Let me know what your guys' opinions on this are. We are actually going to break this up into two videos. So this is going to be the first half from 15 to 8 rankings-wise, and then we're going to do the top 7 in another video probably sometime this weekend, maybe next week. I'm not entirely sure yet. It really just depends on my schedule. But these videos do take a lot of time, so let me know if you guys do enjoy them, and I'm willing to do some outside the top 15 as well. I know Tyreek Hill just got cut, so there are some definitely good and intriguing guys outside of the top 15. But definitely let me know what you guys think. I appreciate all the love and support. Of course, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you guys are new. You guys see my socials up there. Drop a follow. Message me, if you guys have any questions, whatever it is. I'm just here for support and talking sports in general. I appreciate it. I really do. And I don't want to talk too much, but let me know what you guys think of the NFL offseason. I think the free agency, in general, free agency for the NFL is just a little bit less exciting and what's the word? Just less exciting compared to what you see in the NBA, MLB. You don't really have these insanely expensive guys, insanely top big names, but overall, there's always some decent guys out there. And this year specifically, I think there's a lot of intriguing and unique type of prospects, a different pool than you would normally expect. So yeah, this is going to be the top 15, but let me know if you want to see, obviously some guys outside of the top 15, like I just mentioned. Enough of me talking. Let's get in. So yeah, I hope I did not talk for too much there, but here you're going to see the format and the general idea. Obviously, Mike Evans is our first player. But you're going to see 4 best suitors that I think four teams that are going to make a play, and then one, in this case, it's the Buccaneers. And I'm just going to explain each one, and hopefully you guys will either agree or disagree, but let me know. And I'm going to try to give you the best reasons for why, obviously. Mike Evans is our number 15 guy, and it's kind of an intriguing player just because he's 32 years old. He had a very, very good, I think it was 7 seasons straight of 1,000 yards, but he isn't more of on the expensive side, and he is older. He's 32 years old. As a wide receiver in the NFL, you don't really get, you start to plateau with your stats wise, once you get to 33, 34. I would say he probably has one more good 2 seasons in him. I wouldn't be surprised if a team makes a play for him for maybe a 1-year, little bit more pricier contract than what the Bucs would give him. But I do have him re-signing with the Bucs. He's from Houston, so Houston I think is always going to be in play for him when he's a free agent. Obviously, they like the older receivers. Stephon Diggs was there, but then he left. He was on a 1-year deal. His career fall off was a little interesting to me. Not a fall off, but the regression there. Another story, a topic for another day. But that could always be a play. Obviously, you do have Nico Collins, Tank Dell when he's healthy. Not a bad young receiving core if you want to add in a veteran. It makes sense, and I don't see why he wouldn't be open to that if they're wanting to make the play. But again, a lot of teams have some salary cap restrictions, and with a ton of players needing to be re-signed, the franchise tag window closes March 2nd. So the clock's kind of ticking, and it's definitely going to heat up in the next few weeks to see what teams don't tag who, because it will definitely open up a lot of more opportunities for teams to make plays on certain guys. Kenneth Walker, for instance, George Pickens, all those guys are going to be in the conversations at the top of them for sure, especially Kenneth Walker just winning the MVP. But he is actually in the second video, so we are not going to talk too much about that. Dolphins could also be in play. They just did cut Tyreek Hill, so it seems like they're trying to clear out house. Adding another older receiver for more pricier price point probably is not going to be ideal for them and their priority right now. So that's why, obviously, it could work, but I think they're probably out of the mix. And then the Jets also might want more of a physical wide receiver, a guy that's going to be able to jump up there and make the catches. You don't really see that too much out of Garrett Wilson since he's more on the slimmer side. Evans, obviously, being a bigger guy, kind of plays a different role on an offense compared to what Garrett Wilson does. So for whoever that quarterback is going to be, if you would like a bit of variety, it could work. It really could work. But at the end of the day, like I said, the Buccaneers just make the most sense for me, just considering the history he has there. You're not going to let a guy that's been with you for your entire career just walk out the door that easy. Team friendly deal, I'm sure. Make it work. Baker Mayfield gets his top weapon back. It makes sense. And then you can also have him when he's, be a fully healthy guy for one more year of his career, maybe see the last of Mike Evans we get to see. And then you're also going to be able to have Emeka Egbuka kind of be the next man up. Tez Johnson, too. He'll be able to kind of mentor these guys and really, really teach them the ways of the game. Because I think when you're injured, that's really just not at the top of your interest right now. So I think it works for both sides. It works for both sides. Let me know what you guys think. I think it's kind of just the most obvious and clear answer, though. And moving on to 14, we're going to try to keep it moving here. We have Kobe Bryant, cornerback transferred to safety. A little bit of an interesting dynamic there. And for some reason, Am I good? For some reason, when I transfer the screen, it lags like crazy. I don't really know why. Let me know if it's still lagging. On my end, it is. I'm not sure what it looks like for you. But so yes, Kobe Bryant, interesting guy there for sure. I think the Raiders are in play. I think the Seahawks are in play. I think the Cowboys are in play. I think the Giants are all in play. Very good prospect and a very good safety market or a good safety draft class we're going to see in this upcoming draft for sure. So that is also going to play a role in how much money he gets. But he's young, he's good, and he's definitely developed a lot. He kind of taught Nick Ammenwarry the ways, but I just don't think that that's going to be at the top of your list if you are the Seattle Seahawks is re-signing him. Just because, when you win a Super Bowl, your guys are going to go get a shit ton of money elsewhere, and that truly is just the way it is. And Bryant, probably going to get 15 million, upwards of $15 million a year to be a young safety and a young corner in the league. It's a lot of money, but I do think that he will leave, and I think that puts Nick Ammenwarry next up. He's the next man up for them for sure. And I do think the Raiders are probably the best bet here. Clint Kubiak being the offensive coordinator there is probably going to want to sway him a little bit. I know he was the offensive coordinator, but he knows how the good defensive players play. He knows what Kobe Bryant can play like, and it makes sense. You pair him up alongside Trayvon Moehrig, and it's going to allow for a young, kind of a young centerpiece of that Raiders defense that is in complete rebuild, retool mode, but they're exciting. And I think Kobe Bryant would kind of fit right into that philosophy. Cowboys are also going to be a play for sure, just because, they have to rebuild what was lost with Micah Parsons, that ripple effect, like we talked about in the mock draft video, and not to mention, you also lost some key defensive backs. So I think the flexibility that Kobe Bryant has, the versatility, is also going to be a little very eye-opening for a lot of teams. So that's why I have the the Cowboys being a very good suitor. I then like the Giants. Another immediate upgrade position for the Giants could be Kobe Bryant sliding into that safety position alongside Tyler Nubin. They lost Julian Love to the Seahawks, so not to mention that is also another guy that could fill the role of Kobe Bryant. So you Julian Love, Ammenwarry, but Bryant, who's versatile, like we said, he can really play where you need him to play. But overall, I just think with the money the Raiders have, the youngness they're trying to bring in, I won't be surprised if Bryant wants to go over there, follow Kubiak, follow the new head coach there, and just make a play. I just think that the Giants, knowing that Caleb Downs is also an option for them, probably will stay away from this safety market. But it's an interesting market considering how good of the defensive backs. I can name three. I think generational safety, maybe not generational, but very good safeties. Obviously, Downs, and Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, and then we're also going to see maybe Dylan Thieneman even be an early second round, late first round pick. So there's a lot of options in the draft. Kobe Bryant is a very, very good option in free agency wise, and I think this is where the Raiders capitalize for sure. Moving onwards, got to give it a sec because I know it doesn't like when I do that. Nahshon Wright, Pro Bowl cornerback, had one of the best stories in the NFL in my eyes. Just a very, very, very promising player with a lot of opportunity for a lot of different teams. The Bears have so many defensive backs up for free agents, up for contract. They're not going to be able to re-sign them all, right? You have Kevin Byers, Jaquan Brisker, Tyreek Stevenson, and Nahshon Wright all falling into that free agency class this year. And unfortunately, with the Bears' money, you can't re-sign them all. Wright's going to get probably around $15 million as well. The DB market's around that right now for these top guys. And a lot of teams are going to want them for sure. Bears, like I said, they're always going to be a suitor for a re-sign type of role, but I just don't think that's going to work. Dolphins, I also don't dislike making a play for a cornerback as well, something to your help. I mean, and this would honestly be a very, very great pickup for Sean McVay if the Rams had the money to make that work. But we are expecting the Rams. I'm expecting the Rams to probably draft a corner in the first round of the draft this year, which kind of fills that need for them right there and then. It doesn't make sense exactly if they were to make a play for him, considering what the flexibility they have in the draft is. And I have him going to the Jets here. I had the Jets kind of finding their Sauce Gardner replacement, hopefully one that's going to, cost them less in the long run and make sense, work out. Jets really don't have a future in my eyes, and I think you really just want to stack up on the young talent you can get. Now, I won't be surprised if Sean Wright is like, all right, I don't want to go to the Jets. They're not making the Super Bowl, making the playoffs anytime soon. I'd rather go elsewhere for a little less money, and I think that's definitely possible. At the end of the day, though, guys are really drawn more towards money and markets. The Jets, New York, big market, big city, big sports city. And I think there is a lot of opportunity there for a guy like Wright to, have success and, continue what he did in Chicago. And unfortunately, this would be a great, great spot if the Bears could, re-sign him. It's just the money just doesn't work out for them. And it's truly unfortunate because Wright is a beast, was named to a Pro Bowl. Very, very good player that the Bears are going to lose. And hopefully, I believe the Jets are going to be able to pick up immediately. And that takes us to our next guy, who a very intriguing prospect in Aaron Rodgers. I have two main suitors for him, and you can see my pick. I think he's probably going to retire. What a legendary career. Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. I just think he's 41 and 42. Steelers have a lot of uncertainty this offseason. Mike McCarthy being the new head coach there. There's not really a clear-cut plan. And for Aaron Rodgers, I just don't think it makes sense. There's not, you've had such a successful career. No reason to go out there now and just risk it all. One hurt, one injury, whatever. I don't want to bring up Ryan Shazier, but you see what can happen to these players. What a successful career for the guy. I just don't think there's a reason to really test it. He's not going to get a lot of money either. And I just don't think that the Steelers would even want to maybe take the Rodgers route. But I do have the Steelers and the Dolphins being suitors. Obviously, the Dolphins probably want to go elsewhere, foreshadowing for a little bit later in the video. But I did definitely think it's on the table. Any veteran QB, Rodgers is maybe a little bit more than veteran. He's maybe old head. Any QB that with a lot of experience, the Dolphins are definitely going to want to call up, bring in for a meeting, try to talk with. But I just don't really think that Rodgers would really go anywhere else. I don't think he wants to open up another chapter in his career. I think he's just looking to either continue where he's at or probably just retire. And I think retirement is definitely, an overpowering option compared to going back to the Steelers. You just never really know, right? You don't know if the Steelers going to draft Ty Simpson. Are they going to go for a guy in free agency? You don't really know. You really, truly don't. I'm just going to let's clap it up for Aaron Rodgers on an incredible career. If this is the end of the road, which I feel like, I don't know what he's waiting for. Maybe he's trying to wait for how the draft goes, whatever. I think the Steelers option is always going to be open there for him. But a little surprising he hasn't retired just yet. But I think those are some two prominent options in my eyes, and that's what I think will happen. Moving onwards, we're trying to pick up steam a little bit here. This is one of the most intriguing guys by far in Breece Hall. I love Breece Hall. I love what he's done in New York, but it honestly feels like a guy like Breece, we need to maximize his potential. And I do have him re-signing to the Jets, going back to the Jets. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if, the Chiefs, this is a dream prospect for the Chiefs. Obviously, Jeremiah Love is on your draft radar for sure. He's on the draft radar for the Jets and the Cardinals too, in my eyes. But we know what Breece Hall can do when, we've seen him, not last year, but the year before that. The potential was there. I just know even from doing fantasy football, he was a very highly regarded running back, and I want him to bring out that explosiveness. I need him to get out of the Jets system. Obviously, they did bring in Frank Reich, so it could add, an experienced play caller, experienced offensive mind in the NFL. It could allow for some opportunity for him to kind of be more flexible and open up his options and really get the true production you want from out of him. But the Chiefs, this would be a really, I think, a home run hit if you can get him in free agency for the right price. Because I mean, not to mention this dude's only 24 years old. He's a top 12 running back in the league. You could argue, when fully healthy and in the right system, he could even improve that. Maybe that's a reach, but the Chiefs would love the downfield ability for him by far. And a pretty good offensive line they have where he can have room to run. I mean, not saying the Jets don't, but they're injury prone. And they're losing some guys. And then the Cardinals are another interesting guy, but I just don't know where you're going to throw the money at. It's the same thing with Jeremiah Love and I said in the mock draft, like, it's a prime position to take a running back at 3, but it's like you have Trey Benson. You don't know how either of those guys, James Conner or Trey Benson, are going to respond to injury. But like when you have so many other needs, are you really going to throw money at a running back in Breece Hall or draft a running back at 3 in Jeremiah Love? Like, yes, these could be franchise-changing players in day one, but it's just a really interesting dynamic that I'm trying to understand, trying to kind of get a feel for, because I just don't know if it's worth it, right? I truly just don't know if it's worth it. And then obviously, Seahawks, Kenneth Walker is probably going to be out the door there. So a replacement for him is always an option. Charbonnet might have it locked up. I don't really know. Maybe they bring in another back to kind of split it with him. Get maybe Charbonnet gets the goal line carries. I don't know. But I do think at the end of the day, he will end up back in New York for another season with the Jets. I think they might tag him. They definitely could tag him. But we are seeing this idea of playing out where they might want to just let him go. Not really a ton of tags we're seeing. It's a little bit of a less used thing this offseason. So we'll see where Breece Hall falls into that. But the Jets do have a lot of cap space, and I don't really think they would let a talented running back that they're pretty high on get out the door that easily. Moving onward with the Eagles in Jaelan Phillips, a guy that is a very, very prominent player, looked phenomenal when he played with the Eagles. And I talked about it a little bit, I'm going to make them, Eagles offseason plan in a way, specifically guys that I think the Eagles should sign. But Jaelan Phillips is at the top of my re-sign list for the Eagles. And I don't think Howie Roseman's going to let him get away for too cheap. The Eagles are Howie Roseman's Howie Roseman. He's going to find a way to create cap space for the guys that he wants to bring back. If they cut Michael Carter, they can already get an additional $9 million. You extend Jordan Davis, who's supposed to get a lot of money. You can extend him. You get another $9 million. So you're sitting around, $35 million of cap space by then. And I don't think Jaelan Phillips is going to get too much money just, in the edge rusher market. It's really hard to predict. And, we've seen the way those failed contracts have worked. Hassan Reddick specifically. Like, there's definitely reasons why teams are really hesitant to throw a lot of money at these guys. Because, one, they're insanely injury prone. And two, just so dominant in draft classes, a very, very highly regarded position draft-wise. So you see the best suitors. I mean, I think that's the Patriots are always going to be a suitor for a good, prominent edge rusher. We saw that they got Milton Williams from the Eagles last year. It would kind of be like a pipeline, a constant coincidence thing we're seeing here. Washington's really interesting for me too, just because I think that they want to get, dominant force, an explosive disruptor on that defensive line that they haven't really had. And I think that's definitely an option for them in the draft this year. But I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the Jaelan Phillips market as well. And I think the Cowboys are another interesting team, like we talked about. Micah Parsons, they need a replacement for him, as much help as they can get. The defense is just still seeing those ripple effects, so that's always going to be an option. But just knowing Howie Roseman, knowing everything about this Eagles team and what they prioritize, it makes perfect sense that Jaelan Phillips would be back in Philly next season. And he wants to be, for sure. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, this dude wants to be back in Philly. He is Philly. So I feel like it just makes perfect sense. I really do. And we are getting into the top 10 here at 9. We're going to see Malik Willis. I think Malik Willis is probably the most, maybe not important, but most intriguing prospect we are going to see in this free agency class. There is so much potential for him here. We've seen what this dude can do in big games. Jordan Love, he took over. He kept the Packers in that playoff hunt, and they ended up making the playoffs thanks to some pretty good performances from Malik Willis against tough opponents, tough defenses. I feel like by now in his career, he's picked up the the abilities and the tools he needs to be a starting quarterback in the NFL. And I was really high on him when he was coming out of college from Liberty in the draft. I thought he was going to be a starter day one, maybe even a first round pick. But he ended up falling. That was a common theme in that draft class. Really bad QB draft class. But we're seeing some revitalization here from him. And I think all these teams are shooters. I think teams that, like I said, teams that just don't really know what their quarterback route's going to be. There's a lot of potential open jobs. Dolphins specifically are very interesting to me. Jeff Hafley already went out and said, "Yeah, we want Malik Willis. We're gonna do what it takes to get him." Like I said, the Steelers, we don't really know with them. There was going to be an option. Jets as well. I think the Jets and the Dolphins are probably the top two, front runners. Cardinals are another interesting team, but I do think they'll end up going with Brissett next year for another year. And I think Malik Willis is probably going to get like a Daniel Jones type contract, like $20 million, $25 million. I mean, you saw what Justin Fields got last year, so that ups your market by $10 million at least in my eyes. But I don't know. Maybe we're just overreacting by it. Maybe the hype is too high. But I do think the Dolphins will make a play in the end. Like I said, Hafley already went out there, said we want him. And the tools, the intangibles he has. I mean, he's a young quarterback with a lot of opportunity for a lot of good teams. So I do think that is an interesting piece and definitely an advantageous piece for any NFL team. And we are moving on here to this is the last guy of our video, and that is Alec Pierce. Alec Pierce is a phenomenal wide receiver in the NFL. And I'm sorry, I know my camera's blocking out some of these dudes' faces, but he's a very interesting player as well. I love what he does. And the ability to just get a ball in coverage. We saw an amazing just breakout year, pretty much. That's the best way to put it. And I think the Colts being a re-sign candidate for him to go back there makes a lot of sense. It feels like the offense kind of just like once Daniel Jones got hurt, it just took a toll to the bottom. And we know what this offense looks like when healthy. I mean, for the first 6 to 8 weeks of the season, they were the best team in the NFL. On paper, I mean, record-wise, and just the way they were playing, it was just phenomenal. The way the breakout we saw from that Colts offense, and he was a huge part of it, and he was a continuance part of it. And I even saw, it's possible they get rid of Michael Pittman, you keep Pierce, but I just don't think you can have both on the same team. But this dude came out of nowhere. Bills are a very, very interesting suitor for me, just because I think Josh Allen is going to sit down with his GM, with the new coach there, in Joe Brady, and say, all right, look, get me some wide receivers and we can get this thing done. And I think Alec Pierce would be probably the first name out of his mouth when they say, all right, who are these guys? But like I said, it's all about the money. And I also don't think it's out of the picture for the Bills to maybe draft a receiver. But I do have him going to the Titans here. I think Cam Ward, second year of his career, you're expecting big things out of him. But unfortunately, I just don't think with the way that wide receiver core is right now, you're going to be able to get big things. You need an aggressor, a breakout guy down the field, and that's Alec Pierce. That truthfully is. It'd be bold for him to go in division to another team, but I think the Titans, they have the most cap space in the NFL. They're ready to spend money, and Alec Pierce is just an immediate guy that calls my name for them for sure. You're not going to be able to do it with Alec Manor, Calvin Ridley, Shamir DK. It's just not a prominent receiving core. You need some experience. You need some breakout guys. That's where Alec Pierce literally falls right into. And the Commanders are also just in play for another breakout guy too. He's going to get a lot of money for sure. So you see, we're entering into our top 7, and the more we get in, the more money it's going to take, right? The more money it's going to get thrown at these guys. So let me know what you guys think. You can see just a recap here, and I know it's going to lag like crazy, but just everyone, Breece Hall, did not mean to do that. Aaron Rodgers, Nashawn Wright, obviously, Kobe Bryant, and then back to the start in Mike Evans. So thank you guys so much for watching, and let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear your guys' opinions. Of course, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you guys are new. I don't have to say it. I appreciate all the love and support. I will see you guys in the next one. You can expect episode 2 of this 15 player series to drop in the coming days. I will keep everyone updated on Twitter, link in bio. See you guys in the next one. Peace.